Hey, everyone, and welcome back to The Deep Dive. You know, AI is everywhere now, right? I mean, it's like
Oh,
on our
I know.
phones, in healthcare, it feels like it's everywhere you turn these
It
days.
really is incredible.
So today we're going to kind of take a deep dive into AI and look at some of the potential dangers that might be lurking beneath the surface.
Okay.
Specifically, how AI kind of intersects with things like cybersecurity and even identity theft.
Right.
And I think that's really relevant, especially as AI is becoming, more and more intertwined with our lives.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think it's really interesting because we're sort of so quick to integrate AI into everything without really fully understanding like what the implications of that are.
Right.
It's a very powerful tool that can be used for good or for bad.
Right.
So, we have to understand, the good and the bad. It's kind of like, when you enjoy a new dish,
Yeah.
you love the taste,
Yeah.
but you also have to be aware of potential allergens.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
You know?
So AI is a powerful tool. It can be misused.
Yes.
Where have we seen this play out in the real world?
So I think a really good area to look at is cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Now, in cybersecurity, AI can be a powerful force for good.
Right.
It can help security professionals detect and respond to threats much quicker and more accurately.
With speed and accuracy.
But in the wrong hands, it can also be weaponized
Okay.
to create really sophisticated attacks.
Like what kind of attacks are we talking about here?
So, for example, take deepfake videos.
Okay.
These videos use AI,
Right.
and they can manipulate reality in ways that, were unimaginable before.
Yeah, deepfakes have been making headlines recently.
They have.
And it is kind of unsettling to think that someone could create a video of me
Yes.
saying or doing things that I never actually did.
Yeah, it's very unsettling, and I think it's something that we need to be very aware of.
Yeah, so what kind of impact could these deepfakes have on individuals and society as a whole?
Well, imagine if you had a deepfake video of a political leader that's released and it spreads misinformation,
Right.
which could then potentially influence election outcomes.
Oh, wow.
Or a deepfake of the CEO making false statements, causing stock prices to plummet.
Okay, so there's real-world economic consequences,
Huge consequences.
not to mention the damage to reputations and trust.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And what's even more concerning is that the technology behind deepfakes is becoming more and more accessible.
Oh, no.
Which means that this powerful tool is in the hands of more people.
Right.
And not all of them have good intentions.
Yeah, that's a chilling thought. It's like the lines between reality and fabrication are becoming increasingly blurred.
Exactly.
And if deepfakes weren't enough to worry about, what about AI-powered phishing attacks?
Right.
I've heard that these attacks becoming incredibly sophisticated
They are.
and difficult to detect.
Yes. So you see, the traditional phishing emails often had grammatical errors,
Right.
suspicious links.
They were easy to spot.
Yeah, they were easy to spot. But AI is changing the game. AI-powered phishing attacks can craft messages that are highly personalized
Oh, wow.
and very convincing,
Oh.
using information from social media profiles, public records, even past data breaches.
Right.
Imagine receiving an email that looks exactly like it's from your bank,
Okay.
uses your recent transaction history,
Oh, wow.
and addresses you by name.
That would be very difficult to spot as a fake.
Incredibly difficult.
Whoa, that's seriously scary.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if you can trust any email that you receive these days.
Yeah, I know. It's a little unsettling.
So we've got AI creating fake videos
Yes.
and crafting these hyper-realistic phishing emails.
Uh-huh.
What else should we be concerned about?
Well, even seemingly harmless interactions with AI can pose risks.
Okay.
Let's take chatbots as an example.
Okay, those friendly little virtual assistants.
Exactly the ones we encounter on websites and apps.
Yep.
They can be manipulated to collect sensitive information without us knowing.
Wait a minute, those helpful chatbots
Yeah.
that, guide us through online purchases or answer our customer service questions,
Right.
those can be used against us.
Potentially, yes. So imagine you're interacting with the chatbot on a shopping website.
Right.
You might reveal personal details,
Mhm.
like your name, your email address, your shipping address,
Right.
or even your payment information.
During the conversation.
Yes, and if that chatbot is compromised or controlled by somebody with bad intentions,
Right.
that data could be easily harvested.
Okay.
And AI is becoming so sophisticated.
Yeah.
It's becoming really hard to tell if we're interacting with a real person
Right.
or a sophisticated AI program that's designed to trick us.
This is making me rethink every online interaction I have.
It's really scary.
It's like we're constantly leaving a trail of digital breadcrumbs
Yeah.
that can be exploited by, people with malicious intent.
It's true.
It raises a fundamental question. Are we uploading too much personal information to AI platforms?
That is the question we need to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
We readily upload photos, personal details, even biometric data to social media platforms, photo editing apps, and all these other AI-powered services.
All for that convenience and entertainment.
Exactly. We often just, kind of push aside those concerns about data privacy.
Yeah, because it's fun, it's convenient, it's engaging.
Yeah,
But what happens to all that data?
that's the question. It is, and it's a good example of how our data can be used in ways that we don't always expect.
Right, like those photos
Yeah.
that we thought were just for fun or for a laugh
Right, exactly.
could end up being used for something else entirely.
Absolutely. And that's why, as tedious as it might be, it's so important to read those terms and conditions.
Yeah.
Those photos that you uploaded to that fun app, they could be used to train facial recognition algorithms.
Right.
They could be sold to advertisers who are looking for specific demographics. Or, in a worst case scenario, they could even end up in the hands of, people with malicious intent.
So it's a real reminder that,
Yeah.
we often don't even know how our data is being used.
Yeah.
Even when it seems innocent or harmless.
Exactly.
Are there other examples of these kinds of AI-driven breaches that we should be aware of?
Yeah, definitely. Chatbot data breaches are another growing concern.
Okay, chatbots.
So those virtual assistants that we find on websites, the ones that pop up and offer help,
Right.
they often collect a lot of personal information during those conversations.
Okay.
And if the platform isn't secure, that data can be vulnerable.
So those friendly chats that we have,
Yes.
where we're maybe sharing our name or our email address or even our shipping details,
Right.
all of that information could be accessed if there's a breach.
Exactly. So think about, the kind of information that people might reveal
Okay.
in a casual chatbot conversation.
Yeah.
Your phone number,
Right.
Maybe even their home address if they're asking about delivery options.
Right.
And if that information falls into the wrong hands, the consequences can be really serious.
It's unsettling to think that something that is designed to be so helpful and convenient
Yes.
could be exploited in this way.
It's true. And I think it's just another reminder that we have to be constantly vigilant.
Yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah.
What other kinds of AI-driven privacy concerns are out there?
So one that I think is really concerning is social media scraping.
Okay, social media scraping.
Malicious actors are using AI systems to collect publicly available data
Okay.
from platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
All the major platforms.
All of, yeah.
So even if my profiles are set to private,
Right.
if something is publicly viewable, it's fair game.
Pretty much. Yeah. So anything that you or anyone else can see without needing special access.
Okay, so what kind of information are we talking about here?
Photos, names, locations you've checked into your interests based on the pages you follow. Even your relationship status.
Okay.
All of that can be gathered.
And what can they do with all of this information?
Well, it might seem harmless, on its own.
Yeah.
But when you aggregate all of these data points,
Right.
that's where the danger lies.
Right?
They could build fake social media profiles. They could impersonate you online.
Yeah.
And they could potentially even bypass security systems that use facial recognition.
If they have enough photos.
Exactly.
So even if I'm really careful about my privacy settings,
Yeah.
the information that I'm sharing publicly could still be used against me.
It could.
That feels a little bit like a losing battle.
I know it's tough, but I think the important thing to remember is that, while these risks are significant, AI itself isn't inherently bad.
Okay.
It can actually be a really powerful tool for good when it comes to data security.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
No, not at all. There are a lot of really smart people who are working on developing new technologies that use AI to protect our data.
Okay, that's good to hear. It's kind of like fighting fire with fire, right?
Exactly.
Using AI to combat the very problems that it creates.
Right.
So what do these privacy-preserving AI technologies look like?
Well, one promising area is called differential privacy.
Okay, differential privacy.
So this involves adding carefully calculated noise to data sets before they're analyzed by AI.
Okay.
This noise obscures individual data points, which makes it impossible to identify specific people.
Right.
But it still allows the AI to extract meaningful insights from the data.
So instead of seeing a perfectly clear picture
Yeah.
where, individuals are easily identifiable, it's more like adding a filter
Yeah.
that blurs out the identifying details,
Right.
but still preserves the bigger picture.
Exactly. That's a great way to think about it.
Okay.
And then another really interesting development is homomorphic encryption.
Okay.
So this technique allows AI systems to work on encrypted data
Okay.
without ever decrypting it.
Wow.
So the data remains protected throughout the entire process,
Even while it's being analyzed.
even while it's being analyzed and manipulated.
That sounds incredibly complex.
Yeah, it is.
But also incredibly secure.
It is. And it's,
It's like a vault
yeah,
that you can, work on from the outside.
Yeah.
You never have to open it up
exactly.
and risk exposing the contents.
And these technologies, they're still being developed and refined,
Yeah.
but they have immense potential
For the future of data privacy.
for the future of data privacy. Yeah, it could revolutionize how we handle sensitive information in healthcare, in finance, even on social media.
That is really promising.
It is.
Are there other technologies on the horizon that could help us protect our data?
Yeah, absolutely. Blockchain technology is another area with immense potential.
Blockchain.
Yeah,
Isn't that the technology behind cryptocurrencies?
it is.
Like Bitcoin.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it has applications that extend far beyond just cryptocurrency.
Okay, what does blockchain have to do with data privacy?
Well, blockchain can be used to create secure and tamper-proof records of data transactions.
Right.
So imagine a system where every time your data is accessed or used, a record of that transaction is added to a blockchain.
Okay, so it's like a permanent record
It is.
that can't be altered.
Right.
So instead of our data being stored in a centralized database,
Yeah.
that's vulnerable to hacks.
Right.
It's almost like it's distributed across this network.
Exactly. And that makes it virtually impossible to alter or to delete.
Wow.
It would create a transparent and auditable trail of how our data is being handled.
That's amazing.
And it would give us so much more control over our information.
Okay.
So if somebody accessed your data without authorization,
Right?
it would be immediately apparent
Uh-huh.
and accountability could be enforced.
That level of transparency and accountability,
That's what we need.
it feels like what we're missing right now
Yeah.
in this digital age.
We've been in the dark for too long.
Yeah.
Unsure of how our data is being used and by whom.
It's really unsettling.
It is. But, I think these technological advancements, they do offer a glimmer of hope.
They do.
They have the potential to really shift the balance of power back to individuals.
That's what we want.
It is. But while these technologies are really promising, it's important to remember that technology alone can't solve the problem.
What do you mean?
Well, we also need to focus on user education.
Okay.
People need to be aware of the risks.
Yeah.
They need to understand how their data is being used,
Right.
and they need to learn how to protect themselves.
Yeah.
We can't rely solely on technology to solve a problem
Yeah.
that's really rooted in human behavior and societal norms.
So it's not just about building better tools.
Right.
It's about empowering people to use those tools effectively.
Exactly. We need to foster a culture of digital literacy,
Digital literacy, I like that.
where people are empowered to ask critical questions, demand transparency from companies, and advocate for stronger privacy regulations.
It sounds like a multi-pronged approach is what's needed here.
It is.
One that combines, technological innovation
Yeah.
with increased awareness
Yeah.
and, proactive measures from both individuals and policymakers.
Right.
But it is reassuring to know that there are people working on these solutions.
Yeah.
And that we as individuals have a role to play in shaping, a more privacy-conscious digital future.
Exactly.
Now, let's kind of shift gears for a moment and talk about some practical steps that we can all take to protect ourselves
Okay.
in this evolving digital landscape. What are some tangible things that our listeners can do to safeguard their data and minimize their risk?
Yeah, absolutely. A good place to start is just being mindful of the information that you share online.
Okay.
So before you hit that post button
Right.
or sign up for a new service,
Uh-huh.
just pause for a second and consider,
Yep.
what data you're giving away.
Right.
And if you're really comfortable with that.
So it's not just about, avoiding obviously sensitive information like credit card numbers.
Right.
It's really about thinking critically about things that seem harmless on the surface.
Exactly. Like a silly quiz about your favorite movies could actually be collecting data points about your personality or your preferences.
Okay.
And then that information can be used for targeted advertising or even profiling.
We really underestimate how much seemingly harmless information can be valuable when it's, aggregated and analyzed.
Absolutely.
That's a great reminder to be more conscious of our digital footprint.
Yeah.
What else can we do besides just, being careful about what we share?
Dive into those privacy settings.
Yep.
Most online platforms and apps have a ton of options that allow you to control how your data is being used.
Okay.
Don't just blindly click accept on those cookie banners and privacy policies.
I've been guilty of that.
We all have.
Mhm.
It's tempting to just go for the convenience,
Yeah.
but it's so worth it to just take a little bit of time, read through them, understand what you're agreeing to,
Right.
and customize your settings
Okay.
so that they align with your comfort level.
Yeah, and while we're talking about, being more aware of our online security,
Yeah.
let's talk about passwords
Yes. Strong, unique passwords
for every single account.
for every single account and two-factor authentication whenever possible.
Okay, so two-factor authentication, that's where you get a code sent to your phone
Yes.
or your email to confirm that it's really you logging in.
Exactly. And again, it might seem like a minor inconvenience,
Yeah,
but it can really reduce the risk of someone accessing your accounts.
even if they have your password.
Even if they have your password, it's like having a double lock on your front door.
It's that extra layer of security.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered, being mindful of what we share,
Yes.
understanding our privacy settings, using strong passwords,
Yes.
two-factor authentication.
Yes.
Anything else we should have on our digital safety checklist?
Be skeptical.
Okay.
Phishing attempts are becoming more sophisticated.
Right.
Don't just click on links or open attachments from senders you don't recognize,
Okay.
even if the message seems really urgent or intriguing.
Right.
If something just seems off, trust your gut and verify it through another channel.
It's kind of like that old saying, if it sounds too good to be true,
Yeah,
it probably is.
exactly.
And we need to apply that same skepticism to the digital world.
We do. And lastly, if you think that your data has been compromised,
Okay.
or if you've been the victim of a scam,
Uh-huh.
don't stay silent. Report it.
Oh.
Report it to the relevant authorities or
Right.
the platform where it occurred.
Okay.
Your actions could actually help to prevent others from falling victim to the same scheme.
So it's really about taking action,
It is.
not just in protecting ourselves,
Right.
but in reporting suspicious activity.
Yes, it's really crucial.
It's empowering to know that we're not powerless in this, constantly evolving digital landscape.
You're not, we all have a role to play.
This has been such an insightful conversation.
It has.
It's so clear that AI is a powerful force
Yes.
that's here to stay.
It is.
And, while there are risks,
Yes.
there's also hope for a future where AI is used responsibly and ethically.
Absolutely.
And, I think understanding those risks
Yeah.
really empowers us to navigate this evolving landscape with more confidence and control.
It does.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Deep Dive today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure having you. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in.
Yes, thank you.
We hope that this has been an informative and empowering exploration of AI and data privacy.
Absolutely.
Remember, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe online.